Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here, and in this video I want to talk about bluffing in Hearthstone. Can you bluff in Hearthstone? Like, you bluff a lot in poker or something, so what about in Hearthstone? And the obvious answer is yes, you can bluff in Hearthstone. You can make your opponent believe something that is not true. You can give them false information about your hand, about your intentions, about your capabilities. So yeah, sure, you can bluff in Hearthstone. But the second question is, okay, how important is bluffing in Hearthstone? I would say that right now bluffing is less important than it has been perhaps ever before. The game right now is fairly straightforward, the decks are quite snowbally, quite linear to play, so there are not as many opportunities for bluffing in Hearthstone right now as there have been sometimes in the past, but there are still opportunities. And when you really start to think about it, let's say you win one game out of 20 games by bluffing, so that's just about a day of playing Hearthstone. But that one game out of 20 already represents 5% of your games, so that's quite a huge upgrade to your win rate. Even if it's less, even if you only win one game out of 50 thanks to a bluff, that's still 2%. So in a game with small margins, bluffing can actually be important, even if the vast majority of games are not decided by bluffs. As a general rule, when it comes to bluffing, you want to show strength when you are weak, and you want to appear timid when you're actually strong. So the most typical example of bluffing would be how quickly do you pick up something, like you're swinging the Ringing's Rifle or you're discovering card from Venomous Scorpion, and you snap pick something. That tells your opponent that that card is a really strong one, whether it is or it isn't. Or if you delay your choice, you appear timid, that tells your opponent that your choices are a little bit weak, even if you have an absolutely perfect card right there. Another factor when it comes to bluffing is whether you know your opponent or not. For the vast majority of ladder, you're going to meet random players, you're unlikely to meet them ever again. So in that case, it's often best to treat bluffing as based on general rules, general percentages, how something affects the general audience. But sometimes you're also in a position where you play against people that you know, and then you can also bluff by doing something that you wouldn't normally do. So that takes bluffing to a whole new level if you have opponents that you're familiar with, opponents that are familiar with you. But in a general ladder environment, usually you're just looking at generics, not something specific to an individual player. To make this a little bit more practical, by far the most common bluff in the current meta is when you're playing Death Rattle Demon Hunter. Because Death Rattle Demon Hunter is largely built around Razorboar and Razorman Beastmaster, both have Death Rattle and summon stuff from your hand. And let's say it's your turn 2. You have a Razorboar in hand, you don't have any 2 or 3 drop Death Rattle minions in hand, just blank. So what do? You could hero power, of course, essentially skip the turn, or you can just slam that Razorboar on the board. Sure, there's more value in that Razorboar if you can play it next turn and there's something in your hand then that you can summon with it. But Hearthstone is so tempo based that you often just need to get on the board. And slamming that Razorboar on the board very confidently indicates that, hey, I have stuff in my hand. That stuff is going to come if you dare to kill my Razorboar. I dare you, I double dare you. Do you want to kill that Razorboar? I don't think you do. If you're very confident in playing your Razorboar on turn 2, even when you don't have any other Death Rattle minions in your hand, yeah, your opponent is quite likely to buy that bluff. But if you're very timid about it, then your opponent might read it okay. They actually might not have anything to back that up. Of course, you can also try to be timid about it and try to lure your opponent into killing your Razorboar. But in Hearthstone, because it's so tempo-based, then most of the time, bluffing that you don't have something when you actually do have it is not very effective. Perhaps the most classic way to bluff in Hearthstone has been to target something, so you drag your card over something and then you interrupt the cast, or you hover over some cards, trying to give false information to your opponent, so that, hey, actually I want to play this card, so the opponent can think, okay, yes, that card is playable and that card is playable. But that only really works if your opponent thinks that you're not intentionally giving out information, because most good players just don't give out information. So if your opponent thinks you're a good player, then they're going to think, okay, why is he giving me this information? This might be a false lead. So I don't think the bluffs with targeting, the bluffs with hovering are very important right now. And of course, if you're playing against really poor players, then they just will ignore the effect altogether. They don't even pay attention to it. One bluff that I use very commonly is to always solve a situation with top deck card if it is possible. This is effective in 2 ways. First of all, your opponent might think that, okay, they didn't have that card in hand already because they played the top deck. And second of all, it's tilting. Oh no, they top decked out again. No, why is the top deck out coming again? When you're playing against just random people and you don't have any real information about them and they don't have real information about you, playing the top deck card is typically useful, because it can give the opponent misleading information. This can completely change if you're playing against people that you know, because then sometimes you might want to play the card that has already been in your hand, so that they don't read that the top deck card was that once a card. Another classic Hearthstone bluff that I really don't enjoy particularly much myself, but that somehow still works, is playing the combo decks and slow roll your combo when you don't have it all. So it's the last turn, you're going to die next turn. You have to win this turn. You start playing your combo cards, but you play them a little slowly, maybe you emote a little in the way, and you make your opponent think that okay, combo is coming, and then they will just concede. I never concede like that, I always wait to see that the opponent actually has the combo. But many people do concede like that. There's even been some YouTube videos of combo decks without the combo, where people just concede when they think the combo is there. So if you ever play a combo deck, which might be unlikely given the way Hearthstone is currently, then that is still an option in your toolkit. Some bluffs have to do with board clears. For example, sometimes you can set up for a board clear, like you're playing a mage, you might have a flame strike, you ping something so that it goes down to 5 health, ready to be cleared next turn with a flame strike. Sometimes you do this even though you don't have that flame strike in your hand, to make your opponent a little bit wary, not committing too much on the board. But the way current meta functions, this is kind of a niche opportunity. Another thing that is quite niche in the current meta is bluffing with secrets. Bluffing with secrets actually used to be very common, especially stuff like hunters with explosive traps, setting up everything to 2 health, getting that secret out even if it's not an explosive trap, does the opponent want to attack? But in the current meta, the games are so snowbally, the games are so quick, so tempo based. You don't generally have a lot to gain with these, and there are not that many secrets around either. But secrets are still an iconic bluff. Think about the secret that would be the worst for your opponent. Make all the plays as if you had that secret, even if you don't. And that might be able to buy you enough time to win the game. So, to recap, bluffing right now in Hearthstone is not a big deal. It's not going to impact the majority of your games. But even if you can win just a game here and another there with a well-timed bluff, that still has a significant overall effect on your win rate. So look out for these opportunities to mislead your opponent and make this game something a little bit more than just playing stuff on curve. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and check out my Twitch channel.